I drive past the Junipero Serra Mission twice a day, to and from work. It's a historic and iconic symbol of San Diego, but it holds a much more intimate symbolism for me. On a windy day in April, over 20 years ago, overlooking downtown, the airport, and the ocean, I got married there. The mission glows on the hill when I pass in the dark. I know it's there in my periphery, but I feel nothing, except maybe a little satisfaction. If I'd grown up Catholic, a wedding at that venue would make sense, but I did not. I was raised in a tiny denomination of Christianity, known only to those who are in it. On a good Sunday, there might be just 15 other members at the Masonic Lodge meeting room to practice our unique beliefs. I wore nylons and sat quietly for hours every week. As a girl in a very conservative family, I was taught the importance of marriage, saving sex for marriage, and the shamefulness of divorce. There was a lot of pressure to marry someone in that church, but with so few people nationwide, much less my own zip code, the pickings were slim. I longed for romance. I didn't have any boyfriends in high school. College was no different. I always had a crush on someone, but it never seemed to be reciprocated. I had a few kisses here and there, but nothing real. Even if a relationship started, I was too much of a rule follower to do anything sexual with anyone, so it probably wouldn't have lasted anyway. I was growing more and more desperate for attention. I was about to graduate from college when my dad called me on my flip phone to tell me something that he'd done. I was watching the Oprah show and her best friend Gail went out with some guys from these new dating websites. Anyway, this might sound odd, but I made a profile on Match.com as myself, saying I have a daughter who's graduating college and about to return to San Diego. I've already met like 6 guys. My father made a profile as himself and met with 6 guys in person to talk about dating me without me knowing. I felt like I was sucked back into the dark ages. There I was, standing on a scaffold in my best burlap sack, like a heifer up for auction, with my father yelling, "She is fertile and will bear you tall sons. The girl is literate, in excellent health, and has all her teeth. Who will take her?" It's bad enough that my own father took my personal life into his own hands, without permission. What's even worse is that in my desperation to find love, I accepted this as my best option. I agreed to meet him at the Chili's in Encinitas. I peeked out the window from the lobby bench where I waited and saw him walking towards the door. I was impressed. He was fit, conventionally handsome, and had a set of bright white chiclet teeth. We chatted for hours over fajitas, and it felt surreal being on a date with a guy who seemed genuinely interested in me. He was attentive, and it felt great laughing and commiserating about our similarly strict religious parents and upbringings. At last, there was hope. Even though what my dad did was really weird, I thought initially, maybe, just maybe, this was my destiny? Did he actually get this right for me? After one date, I was already imagining my future with this guy. A few days later, he invited me to a barbecue at La Jolla Shores with his diving friends. I showed up to the table with a pasta salad as they emerged from the water in their wetsuits, dragging tanks, hoses, and seaweed behind them. We ate hot dogs, and I chatted easily with his friends. Across the grass was a group of teenagers tossing a plastic bottle back and forth. For no reason at all, one of them threw it at a seagull midair. The bird fell to the ground, one wing lifted in an unnatural angle, and then hobbled into the bushes to protect itself. "Did you see that? Did you see what those kids just did?" I blurted out. "Oh my God, what should we do?" After a few moments, my date said, "Let's just stay out of it. Let's not get involved." Right then, I discovered that for me, the biggest ick of all is a privileged man who could easily do something to help someone or something less fortunate and chooses not to. "Let's go to the lifeguard tower," said one of the other guys. I sprang up and walked with him to tell on these kids and hopefully get help. The lifeguards followed us. I pointed directly at the boys, like a little tattletale to avenge the poor bird. The schadenfreude I felt when the teens were forced to pick up the seagull with a towel and put it in a pet carrier was overshadowed only by the extreme disgust I felt from my pathetic pussy-ass date. I lost my appetite and told him I was going to take off. I made some excuses about how it was getting late, but then shifted to the truth and told him plainly I was turned off by his lack of action. He pressed and pleaded for several minutes, but I held my ground and got in the car, disappointed but knowing it felt right. I had only driven a few blocks when I saw his name lighting up my phone. I thought about ignoring it, but I was lured. A starving person will lick crumbs off a dirty floor. And I've been hungry for love my whole life. He pleaded with me once again to turn around and come back. And that's what did it. That's all it took to completely change the trajectory of my life. That's how low the bar was for me to completely ignore what my gut was screaming at me. That was all it took for me to abandon any sense of self-respect and inner knowing. A man chased after me. A man wanted me. A man was begging me to come back. So I married him. We did end up having sex before marriage. It was weird and unpleasant, but what did I have to compare it to? I couldn't even pretend to enjoy it because I was so worried about all the sinning I was doing. We were still newlyweds when I became concerned he might have undiagnosed bipolar disorder. Turns out he was just an asshole. He would decide when and if to be nice to me. I lived according to his whims in a state of anxious anticipation. It was almost our 3rd anniversary when he came home one day to tell me he'd been having an affair with one of his grad school classmates. Everything I thought I knew about my little world exploded into a million pieces. But they were pieces I frantically put back together, because the very next day I found out I was pregnant with our first child. Of course I stayed. The noise of guilt, shame, fear, and insecurity that was my first language was so much louder than any other inner voice trying to guide me. Once again, I ignored my inner knowing. I pushed through the despair and continued being the best mom and wife I could be. Our life was unconventional with his government job moving us around, including twice overseas. I lived in a state of perpetual distraction from packing, unpacking, having another baby, and starting all over again. It's true what they say about the clarity that comes after 40. In my case, the clarity, or boiling point, came in one singular moment. While walking the dog through a forest in Germany, I stopped abruptly in a beam of light between the trees, just like a movie. Suddenly, my brain cracked open. Holy shit, I can just get divorced? It was as if the concept had just been introduced to me. In all those years, it had never occurred to me as an option. And just like that, After 19 years together, 17 years of marriage, 11 moves, and 3 boys, it was over with 0 emotion. I looked at him and felt nothing, except maybe a little satisfaction. I'm the victor. I'm the one who had the courage and balls to do what he never would. Me, once the naive, dutiful girl, survived a miserable shitstorm for the sake of my boys, and I chose to walk away from it for their sake too. I did indeed bear tall sons. Someday they will know why I left their father. I'm back on the apps as we do these days. Not Match though. Fuck Match. But today, thanks to aging and experience, I am a completely different person from that naive, insecure girl. I have so much compassion for her, who thought she was on the right path. 20 plus years later, I still hope for love, but now I'm forging my own way. Not my dad's or my ex-husband's or a religion's, but my own unapologetic self. I have become my parents' worst nightmare. A divorced, agnostic, irreverent, voting, bleeding heart, sometimes slutty, single mother. The mission glows on the hill each morning as I pass in the dark on my way to work. Some days I feel nothing, and some days I feel a kindred closeness. We're both standing alone against the wind, looking out at whatever lies on the horizon. Thank you.